I just got back from seeing Moana 2. I definitely was excited to see this movie because of how good the first Moana movie was. I feel like people are always skeptical for the sequels because they don't want it to ruin the first movie. And I will say right off the bat, this movie didn't do that. This movie takes Moana on another adventure across the sea. She has a whole new crew with her and some crew from the past. We first see that Moana is trying to find the existence of other people. In doing so, she has a vision from one of her ancestors. This vision basically starts the quest for Moana to raise an island from the depths of the sea that will help connect people from different lands. So amongst her people, she picks out who's going to help her along this journey. They set forth and face different challenges along the way, encountering new and old characters that either help or stall her from reaching her end goal. Overall, I do think this movie was really well done, but I definitely have a lot of thoughts and feelings after watching it. Starting with all the new characters, I felt like they did a really good job picking different personality types that clashed but also went so well together. Even though we didn't get a lot of backstory on these characters, they all added their own unique personality to make this movie really fun to watch. And even with no backstory, it was easy to fall in love with these characters. The first thing that I really liked about this movie was the growth that they showed between the first movie and this one. This movie is set 3 years later, and they do show the subtle changes of growth. I really like that part because it showed they cared a lot about the detail. They also did a really good job showing the emotion of the movie. Moana and her crew faced a lot of challenges that they really had to learn from. One big one was at the beginning when Moana had to leave her family once again. You see how she faced the hardship of that, and it almost felt like you were facing it too. Showing the emotion really hooked me more into the movie. Although they did show a lot of emotion, they didn't forget the humor. All of the characters cracked their subtle jokes. They even used jokes that hinted to the first movie that made it pretty funny. The other big thing with this movie is that it is a musical. I definitely loved the songs in the first movie as they were really catchy and easy to sing along to. The songs in this movie were also catchy and very entertaining. The scenes were really well done, and they made the songs even better. Although there was a lot to like with this movie, there were some drawbacks too. Like I kind of mentioned before, there was not a lot of backstory with the new characters. The new characters kind of seemed thrown into the movie, and then they were just there embarking on the journey. And even though it was pretty easy to get hooked in with these characters, it would have been nice to know some of their backstory. In comparing this to the last movie, with the songs How Far I'll Go and You're Welcome, those were really catchy and easy to sing along. In this movie, I don't feel like any of the songs were really like that. So even though they were good, I don't feel like we could sing along. But maybe that will get better the more I listen to those songs. One thing I felt with this movie was there were a lot of loose ends and a lot of things not really making sense or being tied up. A big reason why Moana was sent on this journey was to help connect to other people. It never really was explained why Moana needed to find other people so that her people of Motunui could thrive. The vision that she got from her ancestors basically said if you don't find these other people, the people of Motunui would be extinct. And then that was it. Nothing else was really said about it. And it makes me wonder, why do they need other people to thrive? I think there could be a lot of reasons why, but it's just not really explained. With some of the challenges they faced, there were some things that didn't really make sense. Without giving too much away, there was one scene that they obviously could have chosen a different route, but yet they took the hardest route. And even though in my mind I could make sense of maybe why they didn't, but once again, it just wasn't really explained. And in certain scenes, Moana and her crew do a lot of things that aren't really explained how they learned to do those things. And even though they made these scenes really cool, it did lead me to wonder why and how. And towards the end, there were just a lot of things that weren't really closed up. I didn't stay for all the end credits, and so it does make me wonder if this is like a Marvel movie where they did have an end scene that explained a lot more. I guess I'm going to have to do my research to see if there was one. If you've seen the movie, let me know in the comments if you stayed till after the credits, if there was an end scene or not. The things that weren't really tied up at the end didn't really lead for another movie. They could make another movie with things that need to be answered, but I also don't feel like those things are big enough to make a whole movie about. So it would have been nice if they just tied up those things in this movie. Maybe there will be a Moana 3 and all these things will be answered. And even with these things being very left open, it did not interrupt the flow of the movie. Overall, the movie moved along very well, and it actually had a really big ending. And like I said, I'm never going to spoil a movie. The ending is definitely worth to watch. Compared to other movies that I've seen lately, you definitely don't have to go rush to watch this one. I think this is the type of movie you could definitely wait until it's out on Disney+. Yeah, it's nice to have the big screen for all their graphics as they were done really well, and to have really nice speakers for all the music numbers. But as far as the movie goes, it's definitely not one to rush for. If you are itching to get back into the theaters, go watch my review on Wicked to see what that one's about, as that is definitely one to watch in the theater. Leave a comment below if you've seen this movie, and let me know which movie I should review next.